How you guys doing today? And welcome to Sports Weekly, where we talk about all kinds of sports. And today it's combat sports with Prince and Tim. And right now, we gotta talk about best finishes. Who do you guys think had the best finish in UFC history?
Well, actually, for me, my top pick in terms of number one submissions would have to actually go to our boys in Team Lakai.
Right.
One of our boys, Joshua Pascio, the ONE FC strawweight champion against Mitsatit. And so he actually patented his first ever submission was called the Passion Lock. So basically, this is how Joshua sets it up. So Mitsatit gives him his back. And it looks like Joshua's gonna set up for a rear naked chokehold. And instead, he attacks one of the left arm and holds control of it and does almost like a reverse chicken wing and cranks it all the way back up. So basically, it looks like a Kimura-like shoulder lock and cranks it all the way up and basically gets the submission. And so it's actually right after the fight, you know, one of the announcers goes, "Hey, Joshua, like, where did you come up with that?" It's like, "Yeah, I call it the Passion Lock." And so when he cranked it out, it was it won 2018 submission of the year. So it's one of those locks that honestly, if you have to be there to see it. Yeah. So yeah, that's my pick for number one submission. And honestly, if you guys have to see the submission, it's actually one of the craziest ones I've ever seen yet.
The problem about awkward submission, like you don't know what's gonna happen. So you end up tapping because you don't know if they're gonna break your hand or.
Everyone was going, okay, you're naked for sure. But Joshua, honestly, he picked an arm and there was like, what is he trying to do? And then when he isolated, we actually executed the actual submission. Everyone just erupted. And even, again, the ring announcer, everybody in there, like, what were you doing? What were you thinking? And Josh was like, I just made it up. Yeah, I did it on the spot, right? So, that's crazy submission, definitely for sure. That's one of my number one picks.
Jeez, that's a good one, too. That's a good one. I didn't even thought about best finishes right there, but that's crazy.
And plus, he's Filipino, right? You can't go wrong. There you go, buddy. Number one, that's it. You got to stay. Don't want to be biased, but hey, Joshua Pascio did right. That's what I'm just saying, guys. Listen, that's it.
Yeah. What about you, Tim? Because you were talking about earlier about
I came prepared with my one that I really wanted to say, and then as we're talking before the show starts, I'm like, oh, what about this one? So I will say though, a good finish is one that you don't see coming, like one that is unexpected. So I do want to give a shout out to Brian Bam Bam Barberena. He was the guy back in 2016, an unknown fighter, and then he got put up against Super Sage Northcutt. So we know Super Sage. All the hype around him. He was coming in, and I remember getting to my buddy's house, and Brian was fighting him. We didn't know him at the time, and he got him in an arm triangle. And I was actually training arm triangles at the time, and I knew what he had to do was get on the other side of the body to finish him. And I'm screaming at the TV, like, hop the side. He didn't do it, just kept putting the pressure, and he choked out Super Sage Northcutt. That was crazy, and Brian's a fan, we're a fan of Brian's, and he's been on our podcast a couple times. So like, he's been a good friend of ours. Yeah. So I do want to give that shout out. But my favorite finish, and when I said it, you were so surprised, but it was the Yair Rodriguez against the Korean Zombie back just a couple years ago now, 2018. Yeah. And 4 minutes and 59 seconds of the fifth round. Jeez, Hail Mary finish. Zombie's coming in, and Yair ducks and throws the weirdest elbow up and over his head and knocks him out. Just a crazy finish, right? Never see that coming. I'll tell you, James, for the next 3 weeks at the gym, I was practicing that move. Okay. It's impossible. There's no way he practiced that move ever, but to throw that off and get a knockout, knockout of the year, knockout possibly of all time, right? That was a beautiful one.
It's funny because Tim was practicing that. I was trying to practice how to defend for it because he's so lanky. He just I'm like, whoa, okay. Yeah. How do I defend after that, right? So
it's impossible.
It's an awkward move. Those awkward moves, man, it's crazy. But speaking about elbow, we talk about Uriah Faber against Mike Brown. This is way back. This probably when I was 2010, around probably I was in high school, 2009. And that's the first time actually I really watched UFC. And Uriah Faber, that time, the biggest hype, he was the surfer dude. He only lost one time before Mike Brown. And Mike Brown was actually pretty good fighter around that time. And then Mike Brown kind of hit Uriah Faber in the face and he stumbled and trying to use his elbow, but Mike Brown just knocked him out. Probably not the best finishes, but that's the first time I really start watching UFC because like, oh man, this is exciting. Watching it spike. You know, there's so many of those. That's the crazy part. And another one is Habib. You know, he did not because not the best. Everyone, you guys always see him submitting people, but it's just like his dad's favorite is the arm triangle choke, and he did it on his last fight against Gaethje. So I think that one it's kind of like meaningful when it comes to UFC.
Right.
You know?
There was actually one. I mean, it didn't end up as a knockout, but it was one of the moves where like it honestly stuck in the highlight reel. I don't know if you remember when Anthony Pettis jumped off of the cage and kicked Benson Henderson right into the head. I mean, he didn't get knocked out, but man, that right there, if he finished off with that, that would have been honestly top two for me for sure.
That was like a ninja move, man.
Yeah.
I've never seen something like that.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing with Anthony Pettis as well. He's the type of guy that'll actually go in there and practice all kinds of crazy moves just for a fight. And when he lands it, right? So that, you know, honestly, that's, if there was one of those submissions I wish that could have finished, finishes, that would have been one.
Any finishes that you guys didn't mention, honorable mention?
The other one, the one that I was coming prepared to talk about was one of the favorites. I can watch this fight a million times and every time it makes my hair stand up on end is Miesha Tate versus Holly Holm for the championship in 2016, I think it was. You know, that fight, Miesha Tate had won 4 fights to get up to that title shot. Holly Holm was undefeated at the time, you know, a great champion, and she was, you know, looking really good after knocking out Ronda Rousey. And then Miesha Tate goes the 5 rounds with her. Again, it gets right to that 5th round. She was probably losing the fight. This was probably going to be her last title shot, right, at where she was going at the time in her career. And then gets Holly Holm, grabs that back, grabs the neck, and chokes her out unconscious. And at that time, you didn't see that a lot, right? And so it was like choked her out unconscious to win the title. I mean, just the drama and the passion. Yeah. I mean, that's why we watch combat sports, right? Because you want to get that energy and that excitement. And that was a great one. You know, to become the champion like that is amazing.
Oh man, I know you're talking about. And this is not a finish, but when last Tony Ferguson fight, that guy almost broke his leg and he didn't even tap out.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy stuff like that in UFC, and I guess Masvidal's fight.
I was surprised. No one brought that up. I'm like, I'm just waiting until I don't want to double up and get the same knockout, right? But yeah, like the knee, like Ben Askren, like honestly, there was so much build up to that fight, and like I can't, less than a minute into the fight, ding, 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 and he was knocked out already, right? And that was one of the craziest knees I've ever seen in my life. Like that was unheard of.
I think that's why he's famous, because he's always have nice finishes, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. But you know, another one is Conor McGregor too. So Conor McGregor had some good finishes against Aldo and against a lot of fighters. So yeah. Anyone else you guys think of?
Do we want to say Jake Paul against Ben Askren? I mean, I don't know. This is going to get edited out for sure. It's going to get edited out.
You don't want to get canceled too?
Yeah. But
no one's going to take us serious anymore.
God darn it, it's over.
Man. That's just a crazy part, man, because like, that's crazy.
Actually, one of the ones that actually took me by surprise is the Gonzaga kick to Crow Cop. I remember.
Oh yeah.
That was another crazy knockout because everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Gonzaga's gonna get a head kick to the head," and Gonzaga just flipped the tables around and crank right straight into the head top. Crow Cop just dropped, right, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened." So I think that's another knockout that's notable as well too, right? Just the way someone could just flip the table on you, right? And especially use the move you're like notorious for, right? Crow Cop's notorious for his kicks,
scary,
right?
Man.
Right?
He has one of the best stare down, remember? So I guess we could talk about it in a different day, but yeah, man.
For sure. No, but that's why we always love combat sports, right? We love to see a surprise finish. We love to see something that comes out of nowhere. And we love to see when people evolve, right? Like you like to see when someone who's known as being a submission person gets a strike, right? Gets a KO, or the reverse, you know, you get that KO expert and the next thing you know, they lock in a rear naked choke and get a submission victory. So
It's great for us weekend warriors because then we can practice at the gym, right? We weren't able to do it, right? Doing some of these. Like, you should see how many times they're running off the wall trying to kick someone's head. So, but that's what we do, right?
And I guess that's it for the best finishes. We had a lot of best finishes. Talk about a lot of it. So when we come back, we got to talk about who is most likely or who you want to come back from retirement. So stay tuned.